It's the third session I've done for the West Yorkshire Combined Authority. The first one I did was all about developing growth strategies for your business. So the different areas, the different metrics to measure for growth in our businesses, and then how to develop a strategy that we then implement and execute on a daily basis to ensure predictable business growth. So that's very much my background, is developing strategies that can then be executed effectively for businesses. And then the second session was all about lead generation. So we focused on inbound marketing, driving the right traffic, attracting the right type of person to our website, and then making sure our website was set up to convert that person into a lead in our CRM that we then can nurture and turn into a customer. So this very much follows on, today's session very much follows on from those other two sessions, and is very much focused about, we've got those leads coming in now, reliable leads, stream of lead into the business. How do we now have a process that everybody goes through where we nurture relationships, we build trust and authority with them, and we naturally convert them then into a customer and revenue for our business? So that's the focus of today's workshop. It usually takes me 3 or 4 hours to do, so I've had to sort of shrink it down for these sessions into a 2-hour session. But I think you'll enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be something that you'll all be able to take away from. I've looked through everybody's businesses. There's a good range of businesses, B2B people, B2C. So you've got something to take away. Doesn't matter what sector you're working in, really. Hopefully there'll be something relevant for you in this session. I've got chat open here. So again, if there's any questions you have as we go through, feel free just to put them in chat. Can everybody just type in chat yes, that they can access chat, and so I can see it? Just type yes into chat. Yes, Shaquille, Matt, Bethany, yeah, Lucy, Tom, thank you. Perfect. So just use that chat facility, and I've got it up to the side of the screen here, so we'll be able to answer questions as we go through. Okay, so let's crack on. A little bit about me. I was head of marketing for a big law firm across the East Midlands. We were based in Lincolnshire, had eight offices. I did the marketing role there and became head of marketing up until 2011-12. And then in 2015, actually, I set up Digital Media Edge. So I went off, took redundancy when the last recession hit, wanted to set my own business up. And obviously I'd seen a lot of the developments in marketing and the way people use social media, the way people drove traffic using Google AdWords, keyword research, SEO, all of those elements I'd done with the solicitors. They're just constantly sending me on courses. So I sort of picked up all this knowledge over the years. Although I'm 53 on Sunday, so it's I've had a few years in sales and marketing, been in it nearly all my life. But that period showed me how the world was changing and how we needed to change as businesses to align with how people now did their own research and bought services, bought products. You know, the whole way we buy things has changed totally. And certainly the last 12 months, I mean, it's just been accelerated. This digital leap that businesses have had to cope with has been, quite phenomenal, really. I think it's condensed probably 5 or 6 years change into 12 months. So again, it's really relevant, hopefully, what I'm going to talk about to what we've seen working for clients as well. So I set up Digital Media Edge. That was my digital agency, which still runs. I still run my agency. I'm still working in it every day. It's a team of us. I've built a team slowly in that business. We really are classed as a growth agency, though. I don't like to talk about us just as a marketing agency, because a lot of the work we do is planning strategies with clients. From that strategy, we then tend to identify what resources they've got in-house, what team they have in-house, and what skills we can offer them to really supplement their team to execute the strategy to grow their business. So Digital Media Edge really is a growth marketing agency. The marketing element obviously is a key part of what we do, but we're very much focused on people's sales processes as well, because it's probably the first thing I'll work on with a client once we've got the strategy in place. Is we'll look at their sales process of how they engage with leads, how they convert that interest that's shown by a lead into a prospect, into a marketing qualified lead, a sales qualified lead, and then a sales opportunity. So I like to really map out how they do that now and areas that we can improve, because at every stage of that, there's a metric we can measure. And this strategy first mentality is something that we really fostered in Digital Media Edge. We said, unless someone's got a strategy that they're executing, they tend to be very tactical in what they do. So they've heard Facebook works, they've heard that Google ads work, they've got a website that's been thrown together from a bit of a brochure mentality and broadcasting what they do at the world rather than trying to think of the visitor that's coming to the website. So we really do go into the strategy piece very deeply, doing market research, main competitors that they're up against, what content strategy we need to be using, what social media strategy, what conversational strategy, so how we talk to visitors, and then getting that strategy first mentality into the client is really key. And then we sort of moved into Ignite, and I set up Ignite Growth with my wife in 2019. So the business that I'm representing today really is my consultancy arm of what I do. So I was being asked to be on the board as a non-exec director with companies, actually go in for the day as a consultant to just help them either develop their strategy or execute it with their team. So to do coaching and training with their team. So that's a little bit about me. Over this next 2 hours, what I'm going to try and do is look at the two levers that we have in our businesses that we can pull to get that predictable business growth going. How we align marketing and sales. I think sales enablement's really been in America for the last 5 to 7 years. It's been a buzzword, and it's really coming over here now, how we align marketing sales as one unit rather than trying to have two separate silos within our company, where marketing try and pull in leads and then hand them over to sales, and then sales try and convert those leads into revenue and customers. It's really that combined thinking where we're aligning marketing and sales around our revenue goals. So we know this is what revenue we want to make in the next 12 months. Now, how many leads do we need and what quality lead, and how can sales be enabled to sell more efficiently and at a higher velocity? Because I think that's the key with sales, isn't it? That if you're on the phone all day talking to everybody who rings you, it can just become a real hard grind. Whereas if all you're talking to is a good fit lead, which is point 3, we're going to identify what a good fit lead looks like. If all we do is talk to good fit leads on a daily basis, which means they fit the criteria of the type of person, the type of company that we service really well, and we know they're actively in a buying cycle and they're engaged. Those are the 3 points that I always think a good fit lead fits into. They're highly engaged with us as a business. Then your sales process becomes far better, far more effective, because you've got a matrix. I'll talk about developing a good fit matrix, as you see here. You've got a matrix that every lead that comes into your business goes through. And some of it's binary. Some's yes, it's a good fit, or no, they're not a good fit for what we do. So again, a lot of this is filtering out those good fit leads and then making sure we put all our efforts into speaking to them and moving them along their buyer's journey till they make a decision. I'll also touch on content, although a lot of people see marketing and content marketing as a sort of a marketing thing, producing content. Actually, some of the best content I find in companies is being used by the sales team. It's some of the decks that they've got. It's some of the questions they hear from people regularly when they're in meetings with them. This is the best content. So having that fed back to marketing and saying, oh, I heard this question today from a customer, and then marketing going away and producing a PDF about it, producing a blog post about it, maybe a video is produced about that question. And then you can then circulate that, because if one customer's asking it, lots of prospects are thinking it as well. So again, content in sales is all about answering questions. And I think when we get to the end of a sales process and we get objections and people who don't use us, understanding that is just as important as well, because that to me is poor content. We haven't answered a question someone has, or a worry that they have early enough in the process. It then becomes a blocker at the end of the process when we're converting them into a customer. So again, content is really powerful, not just in the marketing element, but how we use it in sales as well. So I'll go through that. An inbound sales process. So very much we have a 4-stage process that everybody who comes into DME goes through. And we've really scripted each stage through, so we know it converts as a set percentage. So when I feed leads into the top of our funnel, our sales funnel, I know what will come out at the end. I know for every 5 we feed in the front end, we'll get 1 customer at the other end or 2 customers at the other end. So, and at each stage I know what it should convert at. So again, that's the power of having a sales process rather than just throwing everyone in a hat and hoping that they become a customer at some stage. I'll also touch in for the B2B marketers. I'll touch on account-based marketing and sales. That's very much where you're in a specific sector that you're working in, and the 200 companies that are in that sector who could use your services. So it's a really highly targeted approach, and it's usually to high-value accounts. So it's getting into the bigger companies that, if you got a contract with them, that would be worth hundreds of thousands to you. So again, I'll touch on that and how you do that in the modern sales environment. And then at the end, I'll just touch on a bit on technology and systems. As you saw in my About Us page, we're a HubSpot agency, Digital Media Edge have been a HubSpot agency for the past 2 years, but we actually used the system for a year before that as well. And it was only after using it for that year, I thought there's no better platform out there for marketing, for sales, as a CRM. All the tools that it gave me just enabled me to grow my business and have dashboards and metrics for everything that was happening in my business. So that's really key in sales, because you want to know how many calls are being made, how many emails are going out, how many meetings are being generated. These are key metrics in sales. I think the most active salesperson is always the one who produces the most revenue for your business. And if that's you, if you're a smaller business and you're the salesperson, then you need to be measuring that for yourself. I know in my stats, because I looked at them yesterday, I've made 80 meetings in the last 30 days. That's the level I've been working at. So when I take a business development manager on or a salesperson, that's what I'll be judging them on. They've got to be hitting those numbers, because that's what we need to do to keep the business growing at the way we want to grow it. So does that all make sense? Put in chat if that sort of makes sense to you all. Russell's still here. Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Right, so quickly, I just want 2 minutes from each of you. If you can come off mute and talk a little bit about yourself and your business. Just tell me your name, the company you work for, what sector you're working in. You don't need to go too deeply into your growth goals, but what are the challenges you face specifically in sales? What are the challenges? So let's start top left here on my screen is Farah. Can you come off and give us a quick...
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Yes. Yeah. We're manufacturers of beds in the area. It's a sort of quite dense industry locally, so we've got a lot of competition. We're mainly, we are all B2B, but we are seeing that this retail sector is changing. A lot of our competitors are going directly B2C, so it's quite interesting to see how that's going to pan out in the future. Our intention, our strategy is still to remain B2B at this moment. So it's seeing what that's going to bring for us, really.
And what's your challenge in the sales process and B2B? Is it getting in front of the right decision maker, or?
Well, I mean, that is the biggest challenge. Often, people have, it's a competition that's out there, and it's about making sure that we can they'll look at our products and they'll consider us. We, like yourselves, like you've just said, we want to go for the higher velocity, higher sort of, volume customers, and that obviously makes things much easier. But deciding, getting in front of the right buyer there is the biggest challenge of all.
And how many people have you got on your sales team? Is it just you, or?
No, we work through sort of agents, really. So we have some in-house sales, but mainly through agents.
So is it a very outbound approach? You just keep ringing people until you get through, or?
They do the field visits, the agents. We have some customers that come to us, so there is a little bit of a brand recognition in that people will approach us as well. But generally, it's our agents that will call on the customers, and how regularly they call will depend very much on how good that agent is, and how they can convert those sales.
Lovely. All right, Lucy, can you come off?
Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Farah, and hi, Richard. Oh, 1 second. Sorry.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi. So yeah, Lucy Jean Smith. I'm the sales manager at Trio Media.
Right.
We are a web design and digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
And in terms of growth, we only started in 2017. We are a small business ourselves. Last year, we doubled our turnover from the year before, and we're looking to continue to do that again this year.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What's your biggest challenge then, Lucy? Running an agency, I know some of the challenges we face. So see if we all...
So in relation to challenges, it is from a sales perspective. Yeah, I mean, there is just me and then Claire, the owner of the business. So between us, I manage the inbound and then also outbound sales as well. So I'll find the business, book the meetings, do the meetings, convert them, and nurse
awesome.
So, yeah.
Great. That's brilliant. Thanks a lot. Well, hopefully I'll have some useful tips for you then, just from what we've been through. So.
Thank you.
All right, Lucy. Thank you very much. Shaquille.
Morning, everyone. So obviously my name is Shaquille. I work for a company called Otimo Supplies. We're based in Batley, West Yorkshire. So we're a manufacturer of chemical cleaning liquids, sanitizing products, antiviral stuff. The company itself has been established since 1976, so it's quite a long established company. But over the last 10 to 15 years, the old directors had grown quite stagnant.
Yeah.
And obviously a new director came in, who's trying to obviously change things. So I've been in my role for about 6 months now.
Cool.
I think one of my biggest challenges is the fact that even though it's probably one of the longest established companies in our sector, not many people know about it. There's not been any engagement or very minimal engagement even with our existing customers. So I think obviously I think I've spent a lot of the 6 months trying to bring up the maximum engagement with our existing customers.
Yeah.
To let them know, because I think it was a culture of no. So whenever we got an inquiry, do you do this product? No, we don't.
Yeah.
This is what we do, take it or leave it.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously we can't work like that. So now I'm trying to go back to our existing customers, because we do have a large customer base, just to explain to them that there is a new director, there's a fresh team, and we are all about engagement. So whereas before it was no, we're looking to obviously innovate, because a lot of our products have grown quite stagnant still.
Yeah.
Freshen them up. So in terms of challenges, I think I've got quite a big list I can provide.
I'll share some ideas with you that you can take to the board as well, and just keep that refreshing, because I think this digital transformation they need to go through, it is quite a long process. It's not going to happen overnight. So
the digital side is something obviously I identify like one of the main, and it's like you said, it's just a long process especially when you're a small company.
Yeah, absolutely.
To have the resources to find the right people to do stuff is quite hard as well.
It is. Yeah, it's a challenge. Fabulous. Thanks, Shaquille. Matt, can you come off and tell us a bit about yourself?
Hey. So yeah, Matt. I run a little motel. We're a small animation and motion graphics agency based in Leeds.
Yeah.
There's quite a small team. There's only 4 of us in the whole business. But as an owner and of the business, it's kind of, for us, I feel like the sales side of things, that, like what you were saying earlier on about strategy, that's one of our biggest challenges, that we're quite reactive to things. So when inquiries come in, we do have a process, but it's almost needing to formalize that process and making sure that when it becomes formalized, that it's then stuck to, and that we're less reactive to and reliant on just people getting in touch with us, and that we can be a little bit more proactive rather than reactive all the time. And
how targeted are you, Matt, in your marketing, do you think, in your lead generation? Is it quite a broad, do you go after everything, or is it sort of one sector that really gives you your work?
No, I think we're quite broad, and I think that's another one of the kind of things that's already struck with what you said about finding like a good fit and I think we kind of just go after everything, and I think sometimes we need to maybe be a bit more selective, and and that's definitely a challenge. It's like, where are we wasting time? Because obviously we're a small team, so
it is, and that's it. When you are a small team, you need to be focused. Otherwise, you can be pulled everywhere and just get overwhelmed very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll share some ideas with you, Matt, as well today that will help you anyway.
Perfect.
Okay. Bethany?
Hi. So my business is called Experience Heritage, and we do digital media for heritage locations.
Oh.
I'm based in York, and I'm in basically the second year of the business, and it's largely just me. So I'm doing all of the work as well as the marketing and the sales. So it's that's probably the main challenge.
But a team.
Yeah. But part of it is also just kind of what Matt was just saying, just kind of making sure I have some strategy and for getting the leads in, and then converting those into sales, because then I have a kind of a low conversion rate at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got. I think I've got it in this deck. I'll share at the end. I've done a 6-video masterclass which goes into strategy at the start of it, so it might be useful for you to go through that. It's all free. You can just sign up for it and do it. So both you and Matt will probably benefit from that, because it goes in detail how to develop your strategy and what tactics to focus on will work for you. So I'll share that with you. If I don't in this, I'll send it over in the follow-up email with the recording of this video and things like that. So it'll just help you out a bit, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Tom. Can you hear me, Tom?
I was just talking to myself then. I was on mute.
Sorry.
Hi everyone. I work for Robinson's Facility Services. We're based over in Harrogate. We specialise in the maintenance, repair, servicing for on-site facilities. Mainly in-house, we focus on heating and ventilation. We kind of operate quite similar to a facilities management company, but we are the contractor. It's just because we offer such a wide range of different services. The main sectors we work in, we don't really focus on one particular sector. We kind of split them out between domestic and commercial, but we are pushing solely on commercial moving forward. As part of the business
like office spaces, things like that.
Yeah, office spaces. So the people we tend to target standard people for the business, office managers. We work quite a bit with property managers, facilities managers as well, getting registered with those companies for future works, whether that'll be reactive or planned maintenance.
Yeah.
When I first started with the business some 18 months ago, the main target when I first started was to win contracts.
Right.
We only had, I think we had 15 contracts on the system at the time, because a lot of our revenue and growth was just solely on reactive. People come to us every now and then, and we were more just relying on those type of customers.
And your business development with them, are you, Tom?
Yeah. So I cover I'm the only sales guy for the business. So sales, business development, marketing. But now we have over 200 contracts. So our growth really is to keep them coming in. We're trying to think of ways to get people longer term contracts as well, keep people a bit longer than just 12 months.
Yeah.
Also on the marketing front as well, we're quite active on LinkedIn, especially. Good. So I think we only had 150 when I first took it on, but now we're hitting over 2,500, I think it is. So we're big on brand awareness. We do a lot of work on our website as well. We just want people to get the message out there as to what we can offer. So we have various flyers that we send out just in attachments and emails as well when we're chasing new potential clients and businesses. Because sometimes we can quote for one particular service, and 6 months time they'll come back to us saying, "Oh yeah, you do this as well." Yeah. So we're trying to create a lot of awareness as to who we are and what we can offer as well. So
cross-sell and upsell opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
do you get many referrals from happy customers that sort of refer other businesses to you?
We do, yeah. Not just customers, strange enough. We get it from, so I visited a care home recently, a local care home, and they had a referral from basically the guy that was living there on the residence, his wife was located at another care home who we look after.
Right. Yeah.
So they kind of got talking, and they, recommended us, which was nice. So
so that happened by chance.
Yeah.
It's not something you do as a business, that you actively promote those referrals. It sort of happens by chance.
We don't know, but we will be open to maybe looking at plans to do that. I mean, what we tend to do is we do a bit of a push once a month on Google reviews. We kind of get back in touch with customers, because from an aftercare point, the customer service side, we've never really had anybody that covers that aspect. It's kind of, we've got the contract, we've come and done the works. If there's a problem, we deal with it. Other than that, we don't have that person going in and asking how it's gone.
You've got some real opportunities here then, Tom, I think.
Yeah.
So, right. Well, thank you, everybody. That's really interesting. I always like to know, who I'm talking to. Obviously, nearly everybody is B2B in this. So we can, there's a lot you'll take away from this, because my main focus with DME is helping B2B businesses. We don't very rarely deal with a B2C. Just got someone else coming into the waiting room. Let me just admit them. They're in. Okay. Right. So thanks for telling me a bit about your businesses. As I say, it allows me as well during this to really keep it relevant to you, and also pull on some of our experiences on your sectors as well. So the two levers that we feel are the most effective for us to pull as business owners are getting our conversion right, and then adding volume into it once the conversion's in place. So again, when we're working with a client, we have a lot of 90-day programs initially with clients where for 3 months, we just focus on one area of their business, generating leads and revenue from that. And the thing we address, first of all, is our conversion rates at each point of their sales process, because there's no point adding a volume of leads into the top of something if opportunities are being missed. And in most businesses we work with, there isn't this structured process in place. There's no stages that someone goes through as a lead to convert them into a customer. And as I say, like we did in our own business, we want something that's very predictable. So focusing on lead generation is often what we all do when we first set our business up. Let's generate as many leads as we can. But actually, it's quite a flawed approach, because if our machine and our pipeline isn't converting or being optimized for conversions, then more leads isn't the answer there. It means that we're still losing revenue because we're not converting the leads that are in there. But somebody else just joined us. That's right. So again, what I talk about in this session is all around conversion. There's multiple ways, and I talked about it a lot in the lead generation and marketing workshop that I did for West Yorkshire about how to increase volume of leads into your pipelines. That shouldn't be an issue for anybody nowadays. There's paid ads, there's organic traffic, there's social media traffic, there's social paid ads. There will be obviously offline events. Tom talked about leaflet drops. There's still traditional ways to drive leads, but my focus is always digital, because I can measure everything. I know what of my lead sources are being the most effective and driving the most revenue in my business. So volume shouldn't be an issue. I would always focus on getting my conversion right first, and really mapping out how I engage with a lead at different stages of them conversing with me to turn them into a customer. And it's all about nurturing relationships, in my view, because everybody out there doesn't know you until they start having a problem and coming into contact with you. So we have to nurture that relationship effectively, educate them, share valuable insights with them, and just build that authority over time. So we have a natural trust, and also we're naturally starting sales conversations. I think the thing people hate nowadays, and I certainly don't respond to it, is just being bombarded with sales messages and people just forcing their company onto us. We will approach you and we'll do our own research anyway. And if you come up and you're helping and sharing content with me and giving me insights into the problem I've got as I move along my buying journey at each stage, then naturally a sales conversation will start. At some stage, I'll want to reach out and speak to people who can help me. So again, we've got to take this helpful approach and sharing content and insight into just nurturing those relationships, because that people talk about thought leadership, but that's how we establish a relationship with somebody and then build on it. I don't know if anyone remembers this film, Glengarry Glen Ross. It was in the 80s, I think. So most of you probably weren't watching sales films in that time. But his mentality then was very much this boiler room approach of always be closing. ABC was his like motto that he used to teach all his sales team. They went out there and they just literally hammered the phones, cold call till they found a prospect, and then they were just constantly trying to close them. I think we in modern sales now, and certainly the way that we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years, it's always be helping. Because that just, once you're helping people to make the right decision for them and they feel you are genuinely interested in them making the right decision, then it becomes a far more natural process to your sales process. It doesn't feel as sales. It doesn't feel like you're constantly pitching people. It actually is helping them to solve a problem or a situation that they've got or an opportunity that they're trying to realize. And it's also a team sport. So I was talking earlier about the importance of marketing and sales having this really close relationship, in fact, working as one. And I think that's what sales enablement enables us to do. It means everybody is focused around revenue. Everyone's focused around revenue goals. So what we're trying to do, again, internally, personally, in Digital Media Edge is that we're trying to put a value on every lead that comes into the business. So we don't want it just to be that marketing's whole role and lead generation is to generate X amount of leads a month. You know, that how we used to think 2 or 3 years ago, but now it's good fit leads, you know, an inbound lead that has read 3 or 4 of our blog posts, downloaded one of our guides. You know, we're lead scoring these people and we're constantly saying, you know, this is revenue. The person who's read more of our blog posts, engaged with us more actively, is worth more financially to us than someone who's visited the website once and maybe read 1 blog post or engaged with us on social media. Oh, hello. Sorry, you're just giving me some detail on your business, Mercy Bound in Net. Yeah, challenge with sales. Okay. So again, you know, whatever industry you're in, start thinking of your team internally as a revenue team. You know, how are we all helping sales to generate revenue? You know, and marketing has a very, very proactive role in this, don't they? So again, HubSpot's definition of sales enablement is the process, content, and technology that empowers sales teams to sell efficiently at a higher velocity. So I talked about that earlier, that we're selling more efficiently because the only people we're speaking to on the phone on a daily basis is a good fit lead who actually has a need and is engaged with us. So there's already that very warm relationship there, and at a higher velocity, because we will naturally, if that's the only people we're speaking to, we will naturally convert at a far higher rate than talking to everybody who's been through our website or everyone we're reaching out to on LinkedIn and trying to get conversations going with them. You know, it's very much a cold sort of pushy mentality is that. And I think on social media, certainly on LinkedIn, I just block people straight away because there's so many messages you get through. Connect with me, bang, sales message. You know, it just straight away, I just block it. Don't engage with them at all. You know, whereas we do it, we identify the people we want to connect with. And then I literally in the morning, every morning, I'll have a 90-minute process where I go through the people I want to connect with and I start engaging with their with their posts on LinkedIn. I'll like them, I'll comment on them, I'll share them if there's a really good post. And it's just this paying forward, giving value forward. Then I'm naturally getting a conversation with them, and then I'll ask to connect with them. You know, so I'll always do it in that process, engage with them first, have a bit of a relationship developed, and then I'll say, oh, by the way, should we connect? And my connection rate is nearly everybody I ask doing it that way connects with me, and we start up a relationship there. We're running live stream events once a month now. We're doing a Q&A on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and all of my invitations go out through LinkedIn, and we just constantly have great audiences from that because we've done it the right way, I think. So again, think revenue, And think about how marketing and sales use inbound mentality and an inbound technique to attract people. So again, that's just giving valuable content that you know is answering a question that most of your prospects have. So understanding who your persona is, so who you're targeting. So Tom gave me a great example there of, I target office managers, I target facilities managers, so those are the industries you're in. So you're talking about commercial office managers. So that's your target audience. What are their problems? How are they, what's their day look like? How do you help them succeed? These would be the questions I'd be thinking. I'd really start understanding who this officer manager is. I'd even give him a name, Office Owen or something like that. Is he male? Is he female? Predominantly look back at your last 100 customers, come out with some sort of trend that you can focus on. Doesn't mean you don't have multiple personas you go after. But to me, the first thing I will always do is say, right, what sector are we after? In that sector, who are the people you need to be in front of? Because those are the key things. There'll be a decision maker, but there'll also probably be a champion. It might not be the end decision maker who actually gets you into that company. So who are the 3 other people that you need to be engaging within the company to get a conversation started very naturally? So get your personas in your mind, who you're targeting and what their day looks like, how they're judged on success, and things like that. Once you start getting into that mentality of how can I help them succeed, it becomes a far easier conversation when you start talking to these people. And then think of the questions they're asked. So get your sales team sat down, as we do with most clients. The first thing I'll do is, can I get all your salespeople together? Or if it's the owner who's the salesperson, right, let's sit down and tell me every question you're asked as you go through the process of bringing a customer on board. Right from the first meeting, what do they ask you in the first meeting? What 80% of the time, what are the questions you hear from someone? And most times I'll sit there with a board and we'll come up with 80 questions that they're asked, and then I'll break down and write where are they in the buying journey when they ask this question. So if it's a pretty general question, they're usually early on in that journey, that they're looking at framing what their problem is. They're trying to understand what they've got to look for to solve that problem, and then they go into consideration stage where they start identifying all the different solutions out there for solving that problem, all the different companies out there. They start asking far more detailed questions there, and that's what will happen with most companies that I talk to. They ask general questions when we first have a meeting with them. Then as we have a second longer meeting and we get more of an exploratory call, discovery type meeting where we're trying to understand exactly what they're trying to achieve, then they're starting to ask more specific questions. And then when they get towards the decision stage, it's, have you any case study? Have you any other people you've worked with in our industry? Things like that. So that's when our reviews, our case studies, testimonials, all of that supporting material that they need really just to underline the decision. They're probably 90% of the way there to using you. They just want to really make it 100% that they're making the right decision. So again, we're using this inbound mentality of thinking, what are the questions people asking as they go out and do their own research, as they're typing things into Google, as they're looking for videos on YouTube to answer some of these questions before they ever write an email, connect with you, or pick the phone up to you. They're doing all this research on their own, on their iPad in an evening, on their phones, things like that. So what are those questions? How do we produce content to engage with them and pull them in through this valuable insight and content, and then naturally start a sales conversation? And then the second thing here is getting the sales team and marketing team working together. That's really key, because the salespeople are at the coalface every day. They're the people talking to your existing customers a lot of the time, unless you've got the luxury of having a support and service team, customer care team that are doing that. But most of the time, the salesperson will also become the account manager as well and look after that account. So again, what Tom was saying about, a lot of the existing customers. And again, Shaquille, you were saying, the real opportunity you saw was in this big base of existing customers. I couldn't agree more. That if you engage with them in the right way, that's where your easy revenue is going to come from. Not getting on the hamster wheel and trying to generate new leads constantly and hope that you get new business in. But let's make sure every opportunity we have in our existing database is realized first. So again, that is really key, that the sales team who are there talking to customers then feed back to marketing. Or if you're in the same role, I know, Tom, you said that you did in business development role, you did a bit of marketing as well. but make sure you're making a list of these questions somewhere. You know, we do it in a spreadsheet with a client, and then we start identifying keywords that someone will be typing into Google to start writing blog posts around, to start producing videos around. So the whole content strategy and what we share on social media after that is very much driven by that buyer persona and the problems they have, questions are asking. Does that make sense, everybody? Anyone got any questions on that alignment? You can come off mute or you can type it in chat, whatever you want to do if anyone's got a question. You are all still there, yeah? Anyone type it in chat? Yes, you're still here. Just put yes here, no here. Yeah, still here. Good. Okay. Yeah, no, this isn't the matrix yet. The matrix I'll share with you in a bit. That's a good fit matrix, we call it, and I'll show you some of the criteria that you need to have in your matrix. Now, this is purely aligning your sales team and your marketing team around revenue. So your revenue goal as a business, and again, if you do the 6-video training that I do, that free masterclass I said, or if you try and get a copy of the strategy, I show you how to identify what revenue you're going to achieve in the next 12 months. And then it's really a matter of aligning everyone in the business around hitting that revenue goal. So as far as the strategy is concerned here, as a sales, the sales part of the business and getting the revenue in, we should have this clearly defined goal. So again, we've always had this where sales results have always been revenue driven. You know, that's, you get so many leads in sales. How many of those do you convert into customers and revenue? We're trying to move marketing away from just being lead focused and more revenue focused. So bringing together processes and content to achieve that goal, and that clear revenue goal is the key here. Having that target buyer, which is what I talked about then, you must have a clearly defined target buyer that you're going after, and a clearly defined offer that you're putting in front of them. Now, it may be a primary offer that then leads to a core offer that you have, or an upsell or a cross sell. But I would always encourage you to have some sort of primary offer, maybe a lower value offer, to get people interested initially with you. You know, I think talking about beds, as we were at the start there with Farah, you know, the Emma mattress approach of having a 200-day trial of your bed, you know, that's their basically primary offer that they run with now. You know, they're not trying to sell you a bed. They're saying, have this 200-day trial and we know you'll love it, you know, and that's, you know, that's very much their approach, their primary offer. It isn't their core offer. The core offer is to sell the mattress. And then they have upsells. They still have different products they can approach you with as well down the line. But that core offer is the trial. It's not the mattress. It's that 200-day trial, which shows their confidence in it as well. And then we develop that content strategy. So that collaborative content where sales have told marketing the questions that are being asked. We've developed videos, we've developed written content, we've developed social media posts. We've got that whole range, that whole campaign set up built around content. So then we go into what is a good lead. And this is something that I go through with clients all the time. You know, we can have, really everybody wants a higher quality lead. That's the end goal for nearly all of us. So some want higher volume of leads and others want better leads. I think you need both of those to make a high quality lead. Now, having more leads is quite easy. You know, we can use social media strategy, we can use SEO and pay-per-click, paid traffic coming through the website. That'll all drive that increased website traffic through there. We can increase conversion rates by understanding our buyer personas, by having a really effective content strategy. That'll increase conversion rates because people are more educated, they're more informed when they come into your lead process. You've already done some pre-work educating them. And that will always give you more leads because you're increasing traffic through your website. Provided conversion, as I said on that very first slide, conversion has to be right on your website as well as through your sales process. And then better leads is all about having marketing automation working. So marketing automation may be emails that go out regularly to people. So it's a sequence of emails. Once they come into your CRM, they start being activated into a workflow that automatically sends them emails out. And when they click certain things or they take certain actions on those emails, they get added to another list. Segmentation, again, is another key thing with marketing automation. How do you segment your audience in your CRM? So again, a lot of people we talk to, when we first meet them, they'll have an Excel spreadsheet with everything on them, or they'll have a simple database of customers, and everybody's thrown in there. Doesn't matter what size their business is, doesn't matter, what they've bought off them, whether they're a lead, whether they're a customer, and this is where segmentation comes in. What are your customers who bought off you once? So have a master customer list of every customer, and then split it up by their buying habits. So who's bought off you once, who's bought off you 2 or 3 times, and those 2 or 3 times are the key list for you, because that's the one that they're obviously happy, they obviously love what you do, they'll be your key source of referrals, they'll be your key source of cross-sell and upsell opportunities, a key source of reviews as well. If you want Google reviews, if you want people to give you a good testimonial, that's where all that's going to come from, those customers. Then there's your other customer who's bought off you once, and I'll be picking the phone up to 4 of them a day, saying, oh, you bought off us, is there anything else we can help you with? That help again, help. Because if they bought off you once, there's a reason they haven't bought off you again yet. And I'd want to know, even if it's a bad reason, I'd want to know it. But again, it's just constantly picking the phone up. And I think if you can get in that mentality of picking your phone up to your regular customers, as much as trying to cold call people, just understand what's that regular customer, especially when you've identified that buyer persona. So Tom says, right, I want to understand what drives office managers. So he goes through the database of existing customers you've got who fit that profile, and you speak to 2 or 3 of them each day. The amount of information that's going to give you for your sales process and to evolve what you do, it is just phenomenal, because they will tell you exactly, and you want them to be as honest as you can with it, because you also want to know the blockers. So what was the reason they didn't use you the next time? Things like that. So make sure that marketing automation is there to help you do that. Segment your audiences and engage and nurture relationships with them. That's going to improve that lead nurturing, that relationship we're building with people, but it's also going to improve the lead qualification, because you should also, through content, be able to disqualify people who don't fit your good fit leads. People who aren't engaged with you, people who aren't responding to your emails, you're not going to focus on them. I would have certainly in HubSpot, what we do is we lead score all our leads. So the more engaged they are, the higher the score. And so I just every day focus on my top 10, top 20 leads, most engaged people that I haven't spoken to yet. And this is all driven through monitoring what they're engaging with on our website, what videos they're watching, what they've downloaded, what they've read. That whole thing gives them a higher and higher lead score. And then how they've engaged with us. Have they used our chat bot? Have they emailed, answered our emails? Do they click on the links in the emails? All of that gives them more and more. So again, that's going to give you a better lead, so you can increase your volume and you can increase the quality of that lead, so you'll get those more high quality leads. And this is your lead qualification framework. So I said earlier that we have certain criteria that we would judge a lead by that helps us sell at a higher velocity, helps me know that I'm a busy guy on a day, I'm doing things like this, then I've got to pick up the phone later on, talk to clients. I've got those 80 meetings that I've got in my calendar as well. So I only want to be spending my time every day talking to good fit people who I can genuinely help grow. There's no point me speaking to somebody who's sitting on the fence, or somebody who's, oh, I might do this in 6 months. That's fine. Here's a PDF. Here's a few videos. I'll see you in 6 months. I really want to every day only be spending my time talking to people who genuinely want to grow their businesses and want to probably double every year, or at least 25, 30% growth a year. So to me, I've got some ideal customer profiles, which are the sectors. that I look at. So a good fit sector for us is tech companies. We know we work really well with tech companies. What we do works really well for companies like that. Other agencies, we've onboarded onto HubSpot about 6 or 7 agencies. And again, because we know they'll grow from using that. I don't see them as competition. It's just a good profile for us. We know that industry, we understand it, we know what pains they're going through and how to help them grow. So an ideal customer profile for us, maybe he works in the tech sector and his company is, I would say, 5 to 10 employees usually is a sweet spot for us. Turnover probably 250,000 up to 1 million, looking to get to 2 million in the next 2 or 3 years. So that's sort of an entrepreneur that I would be aiming. And our buyer persona is called Entrepreneur Ready. And I know all his criteria for Entrepreneur Ready. So when I look at leads, I'll say, do they fit that profile or don't they? That's my ideal customer profile. And I know there's probably in Lincolnshire, where we are at the moment, there's probably about 200 companies that fit that profile in the tech sector. So my job is to connect with each one of the owners of those 200 companies and slowly nurture relationships with them until they get to the next stage, which is going to be how engaged are they with me? And when are they sales ready? You know, are they an active buyer who's genuinely looking to take action now, or are they a passive buyer who may take action in a few months' time? So again, these are all the little key things that you can build into your own matrix to sort of give you a binary, yes, they're a good fit, no, they're not a good fit. And then also say, how engaged are they with us as a business? You know, if they're not engaged with you yet as a business, then marketing should be doing everything they can to engage that person. They should be emailing them, sharing some interesting videos with them, sharing some content, connecting on LinkedIn. They should really be doing everything they can to just get that engagement going before you're picking up the phone to them. And then how do we identify if someone's sales ready? Well, again, I think to me, content tells me. Whatever content they're consuming will tell me where they are in their journey and how sales ready they are. This guy's really taking it seriously, his growth of his business, or no, he's not really. This is their marketing manager who's downloaded the guide to inbound marketing and not really engaged with anything else. So again, how sales ready are they before you pick the phone up is a key thing. So this is our good fit matrix here that we use. Obviously, top right, high engagement and good fit. So they fit my customer profile. They're the persona that I want to target. So it's not the marketing manager, it's Entrepreneur Eddie who's come through the website and downloaded my guides. He's clearly looking at growth metrics. He's downloaded the strategy guide that we do. He's downloaded the marketing, the sales guides. He's watched the videos, highly engaged. And he's a great fit. He works in the tech sector. His company's the right size. I'll go onto Company's House. I can go on LinkedIn, do 15 minutes research into him, and I can see very quickly, yeah, he's a great fit for what we do. So again, anyone in that, I would straight away say, make sure that that is assigned to me in the CRM and that I have a task in to call them tomorrow. Bottom corner is low engagement and poor fit. So they don't really fit the persona, they don't fit the sector we're really targeting, and they're not engaged with us. You know, again, every one of those will be ditched. We wouldn't spend any time on those people. And I know some of you may think, oh, well, that's a bit ruthless, Richard. They may turn into something later on. Yeah, that's fine, but they're not going to make revenue now for you, you know, and that's, as I say, we're focused on revenue, remember, at this point. We're not having the old approach of trying to nurture 15,000 leads and hope a few of them turn into customers. We're very much talking to the highly engaged, good fit people. There is, of course, the high engaged, poor fit people. And these, to me, are still worth our time because they often become really good ambassadors for our company. They're people that are out there talking about us, they're engaged with us, they share our content. They're the people who come on our show, on the live show on LinkedIn, and they tell their friends about it and bring them along. You know, those are people who are highly engaged with us as a brand. They're consuming our content, they're engaging with us on social media. They're not ever going to become a customer. You know, I can tell they're not in the right area. We get a lot of students in Lincolnshire, students at Lincoln University, obviously marketing students, people like that, and they engage with us a lot. You know, they're learning themselves and they have friends, they have, you know, they have other people that they know, and they just share the message out. So again, we don't we don't dismiss these people because they're highly engaged, but we just know they won't ever become a customer. So a lot of this will be automated. We can engage and share different pieces of content. We can make sure they go in a CRM and are segmented into a list to invite to events, things like that. But we won't really focus on reaching out to them or engaging with them as we would with this sector. And then down here was the good fit, low engagement people. And again, if someone fits in that quadrant, then we know marketing still has more work to do on them, because they're a good fit. They have expressed some sort of interest in us. For some reason, life's got in the way or they haven't come back. And this is really where I use my custom audiences on social media. People who visited my website, I pixel them so that I can then have other marketing campaigns triggered to that custom audience. They've gone to this landing page, but they didn't fill the form in to download the guide and go to the thank you page. So I know I can set a custom audience up for everybody who did that. You went here, but you didn't go here. So something stopped you. You had intent, you got to that page, somehow something triggered your interest, but you didn't take the action. So again, I'll have a different marketing campaign, like, did life get in the way? Did you spot something else? Did the phone go? You know, something like that, to say, here's the guide that you were looking at. You know, it's really useful. These are some of the bullet points, that some of the benefits you would have got from reading that guide, you know, and then try and drive them back. And 20-25% is what we'd expect from that sort of campaign as a conversion. So that's 1 in 4 people who didn't take the action initially who go back and take the action. So again, engagement is not a problem. It just means that that lead stays more with marketing and doesn't go into the sales funnel quite yet. Does that make sense? Any questions on having a good fit matrix? Thanks, Bethany. That makes sense. Yeah. There's the other, I'll give you two other sections you may have on here, and they will be hand raisers. So people who actually contact you and say, I'd like a demo, or I'd like to talk to sales. You know, this happens probably every now and then, or you will have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the scores on HubSpot will definitely, Matt asked the question, would these scores work through the scores we give them on HubSpot? Absolutely, because this good fit here, and we segment them, Matt, into good fit and poor fit in our CRM. So again, only the good fit people will be getting the scores anyway. We won't set lead scoring up. So high engagement obviously is the more content they're engaging with, the higher their score. So that's very much relevant on there. The good fit thing, this is more manual, I think, for us, because I'll run this through. When someone's highly engaged with us, I'll start looking at what a good fit they are. So it'll set a task up in HubSpot, and then each morning I'll go through all my tasks of people who are highly engaged with us. Obviously, each day I'm doing this, there's people that are coming into the pipeline that are getting scores and suddenly coming onto our radar. So yeah, absolutely, you can do this. But the other thing I was saying was there may be a 5th and 6th quadrant that, or a 5th and 6th section you want to have for hand raisers. Those are people who are asking for a demo of your product. They want you to come out and talk to them. And again, we would value those highly because they convert 3 times quicker. You know, these are people who are saying, yeah, I'm at the decision-making stage. Can you come out and see me? But I still go through the good fit or poor fit. I still go through that process, because again, it's a lot of time to go out to these people if they're not a good fit for what you really do. So again, hand raisers, yes, they're worth more. They may not have been highly engaged with your content. They may have come straight through from a referral from someone else. They may come straight through, give you a call or send you an email saying, I'm really interested in what you do. Can you come out and give me a demo? Can you do us a presentation, or can you actually come out and visit us? You know, that sort of thing happens all the time. But we still go through the good fit or poor fit. We'll start doing some research into them and see what sector they're in, see what what position they have within the company, things like that. So again, you may add to this and modify it for your own businesses, but this generally on a day-to-day basis is what we use to qualify our leads. And then we develop content for these people. So that quote there is from a book. I don't know who can see me on the screen. There you go. It's called They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. And he says, content's the greatest sales tool in the world. Actually, this is one of the best books I've ever read. I've probably read it 5 or 6 times now, on modern content marketing and inbound sales. He really does. He just hits on the head why content's so important and why it should be so question-based and so answering people's questions. So I recommend that book to everybody. Make a note of it and read it or listen to it on Audible. I think I listened to it on Audible first and then bought the book after that, because I just like to highlight things and have post-it notes all through them and things like that. So again, a great book on content though. If you're thinking of developing your content strategy, you know, you talked about it a bit. I think Shaquille, didn't you, on making things more digital for your business. Again, it'll be content. There'll be people asking questions constantly about chemicals, about different ways they can use them. You know, there'll be so many content ideas driven from what questions people ask you. And again, you've got to think to yourself, how do we produce a video for this? How do I do a how-to video maybe on how to use these chemicals, you know, and really just build up that those different pieces of content so you have them ready to hand when you're asked these questions in a sales process, or even before that. People will be discovering you on YouTube and coming through to the website from a link on YouTube, things like that. And again, custom audiences are great for that sort of thing. You can measure people watching your video on YouTube, add them into a Google custom audience, and then remarket to them as well. So again, content's useful for engagement, but also it's useful now as a marketing tool for generating other campaigns off them. Just let me have a drink. And this, I think, is what Marcus underlines in his book, is that if you attract people with good educational content, not the usual generic rubbish that you see out there, but something that you've really listened to their problem and answered that question or that problem for them, then focus on that solution content. There should be a natural process of them wanting to talk to you. There should be a natural sales process that gets started there, and a very natural conversation, not you having a line that you start that you have to use on them to get them talking about sales. So really focus on that. Again, this was something we talked about, was the buyer's journey that people go through when we're making a decision nowadays. You know, everything. Shaquille says YouTube is one of the avenues we've been looking at. Yeah, I think for your industry, definitely look at YouTube, because those how-to videos of how to use your product is probably a great way of showcasing it, but it'll also answer problems. If you think of the problems people are solving by using your products, Shaquille, and then produce videos answering those questions with the product in there and you demoing it, I think that would be really good content for you. You'd use it at all different times, not just having it sat there bringing leads in. I think it'd be really powerful. And as I say, having that ability to also tag people and pixel people that watch those videos is another key thing. So again, revisit your buyer's journey and start thinking, right, in the awareness stage, when people first have a problem, what are the questions they ask? And then as they go through consideration stage and they're getting more specific in the question they're asking, they're getting more detail driven. What questions do they ask there, and what checklist can I produce for them? What PDF can we produce? So what's that? How do you retarget? Abulor says, how do you retarget to old buyers that only leave their home address with no emails? Well, digitally, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? You know, if you want to go down the traditional route, you know, I think nearly everybody has an email address. Do you not ask them for an email address? Do you just take the home address? Or are they not willing to share with you? Just come off mute, Abelor. Tell me a bit more about what your question is.
Yeah, some of them don't have most of them don't use email. They don't, you know, it's just now that people are getting used to computer, especially if they are old, kind of not in computer stuff. So it's quite challenging, and doing telephone marketing is very challenging for me.
Yeah, so well, it's because it's nearly always cold, isn't it? So it's not, you've got to warn people. Do you use a CRM or any sort of database?
Yeah, I use I forgot, I've got a couple of them on my Shopify store, really.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I would prefer the email, but it's just unfortunate that most of them are not into emails or computer, and the moment you start to explain to them, they get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So
and who spends the most money with you? Older people or younger people now?
From age 18 to 60.
Yeah, but if you looked at all your sales, is there a sweet spot where you think, yeah, that's where we get the majority of our sales? Have you done that work?
Yeah, majority of the sales, like I tried before, when you're on someone you're kind of on Amazon, also they don't give you the details of the, so you kind of get partial information of the clients you're sending in goods to. So that is why we're challenging. And if you're in a community and you said to some people, and maybe out of, I don't know, they just give their contacts, their email address to post into their house, but no email.
Yeah, I think that with Amazon sales, when you have an Amazon sale, though, you post it out to them. Are these sales actually facilitated by Amazon, or do you actually post out? Do you actually have control over the actual postage?
Well, generally, Amazon don't have any product really. They are merchant on Amazon platform, so I actually post them to their client. They just process it.
Yeah. But you get some details of the client. You get an address, do you, for them?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you get an address, the way I would do it is I'd be trying to get them through my website so I could collect more details on them. So if it was a really traditional person like that, then you've only got their home address, and I would be sending them a coupon, or I'd be sending them some sort of card or something that in the post to actually generate them visiting my website. So I could gather more data on them and get them in a proper CRM and engage with them and build that relationship, because otherwise you become a very transactional type business where it's literally one sale and then you don't have any relationship ongoing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. That one's kind of. So thank you.
I think in the modern age, you've got to find a way to get some engagement regularly with people. There's no point it just being a one-off transaction for you. Even in the e-commerce world, the money's never made on that first or second sale. It's third sale onwards that you make the money. So you've got to have this mentality of, how do I build my customer database? How do I know these people that are buying off me regularly versus the one sale, like I said earlier? E-commerce clients we work with, that's very much their focus, is getting them up to 3 or 4 sales, because after that there's a lot more loyalty built in. They get more referrals from them of friends. There's a real shift then in the mentality. So I know you may have older buyers that don't use email, but I would guess that it'll be a really small percentage of your sales that is that sort of person, because they just won't be using Amazon. They won't be using things like that if they're not digitally enough to have an email. Then you really you've got a vast majority, or your biggest opportunities with the people that have, and that you can then, if you've got a home address, start some engagement with the traditional way first, but always with an aim of driving them through the website. One, to buy direct off you, because you have more control over the sales process then as well than leaving it all in Amazon's hands. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, no worries. So, as I say, the 3 types of content you're going to need at each of the stages as people go through this buying journey. And there's another great book called Smash the Funnel, which is he goes into buyers' journeys in detail, and he actually in that book he breaks it down to about 15 stages we go through when we make a buying decision. But for me, in most marketing, you've got 3 main stages that everybody goes through. And if you're buying on Amazon, you go through this process within about 2 minutes. You look at a few reviews, you filter out the type of product you want. So you may be searching for a running shoe in the awareness stage. You realize, I need some more trainers, more running shoes. You then go through, right, I want Adidas, I want Nike. So you filter down in your consideration stage, you're getting more specific. Nike running shoe, you're putting in sort of more specific details. you may be like jackets. When I was looking for a walking jacket, I was looking for a Gore-Tex walking jacket. Then I got down to Berghaus and some of the other North Face products, things like that. So I started with walking jackets, men's walking jackets, went then into the types and really got specific, got very detail driven in the middle. And then at the decision stage, I made a decision. I did all of that within probably 5 minutes. Whereas a lot of people, certainly in B2B, we've got a long buying cycle here. So people are going through this process for months, 3 to 6 months, some people take to make decisions, in our business, I think our average is about 2 months from first meeting a business to us actually starting work with them. It used to be 3 months. Slowly over time, we've managed to reduce that, but we now understand the initial signs people show when they may become a client of ours, some of the questions we need to answer. So in the awareness stage, we're very much focused on our blog posts. We're writing 3 or 4 blog posts every month, answering different questions. When we first set the business up, we were absolutely writing 4 or 5 a week, because we had a list of questions that needed answering. We'd done a lot of keyword research online. We'd done a lot of visiting websites like Ask the Audience. There's some really good websites where you can actually get questions that people are asking and type in your niche, and you'll get a list of content ideas from there as well. Or just talk to your customers, as I said earlier, just ring your customers and ask them. That's always the best way, because you get very specific queries that they first had. So what were you first thinking when you started looking at us? Oh, I had a problem with this, and this is what I was thinking, this is the question. And how did you find out about us? Well, I saw one of your videos on here, and I was typing this in, and one of your blog posts came up that I was reading. So again, it might have been a social media post. So you need to know all this. So again, what I said earlier about picking up the phone to your customers every day is so key to this. Then write your blog posts. From your blog posts, turn nearly every one of your blog posts into a video as well. Have your video on YouTube, but then embed that video into the blog post. So someone who's on their phone looking at it might want to watch the video rather than read the whole blog post. Set up other resources like PDF downloads, make it very educational, research data, any sort of research you've got that can help people frame what they're thinking at the time, define what their challenges and their problem is really useful. Just giving people insight, general insight to start with. And then when we get to the consideration stage, this is where ebooks, PDFs, data sheets, we think checklists work really well there. Even case studies of similar businesses who've gone through this same decision-making process and how you help them. That can be really useful content in the middle of the funnel consideration stage. And then decision stage, as I say, is very much, I'm just underlining my decision now. I'm more or less down to 2 companies that I want to use. I'll then start using testimonials, reviews, seeing what other people who've worked with this company think of them. Maybe asking for a demo or a trial at that stage. Any other questions that haven't been answered, I'll be asking at that decision-making stage. Maybe a consultation at this stage. It's usually where your solution presentation comes in, isn't it? It's where you're doing your actual final presentation about the solution you've got to help someone. So all these different types of content fit into the sales process very, very easily. So what I'll send out with this copy of this video is something that we use with clients, and it's basically a sales and insights and content planner. So it's a strategy grid, and I'll send this out, as I say, the PDF version of this will come out to you. And it basically has types of content you could produce down the left-hand side, and then the stage that someone's at. So what I ask people to do is type in a question here or a type of content you could produce, and then really fill this grid out with different types of content. So webinars, infographics, live streams, animations, so explainer animations or videos explaining how to use a product, that how-tos, videos that are talking about your company as well. Don't forget to tell your story so people emotionally engage with you as a company and meet you. So videos are really, yes, they should be based on solutions and answering questions, but also use video to share, and so people can meet you as a business. And then share those on social media. What other social media posts can you put up? What platform are you going to focus on? Again, your buyer persona work should have told you this is the platform that my buyer persona uses predominantly. They may be on Twitter, they may be LinkedIn, they may be on Facebook if you're B2C, they may be on YouTube and like video content, you know, but again, by fleshing out that buyer persona and understanding them in depth, you'll identify their main platform and the ones for you to focus on. Reports and checklists, blog posts, and then pillar pages and articles. So a pillar page is how Google judges how relevant content is, but also how much authority it has. So your core topic on your website, you should have a long page of about 4,000 words talking about that core topic. And then around that, you'll have topic clusters of blog posts pointing back to that page. So again, you've got to at somewhere have a real authority piece on your website on your core topic. So again, give that thought. And in B2B, this is really important because no one does it very well. But what's the core thing that you offer to people, and what are the problems you solve by offering that? So again, and break that down into different sections. And often when we write a pillar page, if you look on our website, we've got a pillar page on inbound marketing. We've got a pillar page on sales enablement. We've got a pillar page on account-based marketing, and we've got a 4,000 word pillar page on inbound sales. So we've got 4 different topic areas that we're trying to rank for in Google. We want that pillar page to show up when anyone in Lincolnshire types in inbound marketing. We want our pillar page to be the one that shows up. Then around that, we've got a blog post, what is inbound marketing? That points back to the pillar page, but just goes into that what is inbound marketing, and then it goes through all the different elements of inbound marketing. How to run your first inbound marketing campaigns, one of our blog posts that points back. So again, what's your core topic? Write a long pillar page on that, and then there may be other pillar pages that you can write as well. So Tom may write something on facilities and all the different areas that facility managers have to think about and office managers have to think about. And then he may have a separate pillar page on heating, solely on heating, and things like that. So again, it's really that core topic that you want to be known for and showing up for organically or with your paid ads. So I'll send you across that. You just, as I say, in your own time, you can just fill that in and use that. And we're in for time, 10:20. And then we go on to the sales process. So the way to think about your sales process is, again, aligning it to that buyer's journey. So the awareness, consideration, decision stage, how does your sales process fit in with that? And the 4 steps we have is identify. So again, that's the good fit matrix, identifying the right people. Then having a connect process or a connect stage. So how do we connect with those people effectively? Then how do we explore or discover? How do we have a longer meeting with them to discover all of the things they're trying to achieve and how we can help them do that, some of the challenges, some of the gaps they have. And then how do we go through the advise stage? So how do we actually make our recommendations to people, and where does content fit into that? And all of that is turning a stranger who's never heard of us into a lead in the database. We're then qualifying that lead, and that lead scoring piece is working in here for us as well. So we're qualifying that lead as we connect with them and start exploring their problem. That's qualifying them. We then get to this stage here where we've explored, and out of every exploratory call we've had, so if I've had 5 exploratory calls, I'll know that 2 or 3 are now a real live opportunity for me. And then I get to the advice stage where I actually go to the trouble of producing my proposal, my solutions presentation, maybe presenting that to the board, having a PowerPoint, making a very personal presentation to the board, and that will turn them into a customer here in a very reliable way. Like I say, by working on each of these steps, I'm constantly trying to improve my conversion rate at each stage. So that's the metrics I'm measuring from my sales process, is how many of those good fit leads turned into a connect call or a connection. How many of those connections did I have a 15-minute meeting with? And those from that 15-minute meeting, we ascertained they're a qualified lead that we can really help and are worth then proceeding to an hour-long exploratory or discovery call. From those discovery calls, how many of those then went into a solutions presentation and an advice stage? Does that make sense? Why we've done that? Why we don't just have a random sales process? Everything is mapped out here. Yeah, in chat, people put if that makes sense or not. Lucy, Tom here. Right. Yeah. So who has this sort of process in place in their business at the moment? Anyone have really specific stages they send every lead through? Yeah, good, Tom. Can you just come off mute, Tom, and just tell me a bit about it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, far away.
Oh, super, yeah. So this is perfect, so we kind of use, this kind of matches our CRM system. So we use a CRM called Pipedrive. Yeah. Basically, I won't go into too far too much detail, but you could create the columns to manage your Pipedrive. So our first column, for instance, say could be cold lead. So whenever I make contact with a new business or a cold call that having a look at it might sound good, we put it onto the system as a cold lead. So you're creating your Pipedrive, and that's the very start. So that's your strangers section, and then obviously we'll move on to, we've got warm lead, and then after that we've got quote sent / site surveys. Right. So we're at that stage of we're going to either meet the client to discuss requirements, collect asset info, or they've provided us with the details ready to quote. And then after that, it's quote sent, negotiations, and then we finalize it with obviously contract agreed, signed. So it's a fantastic CRM because it's just easy for us to manage where we're at with certain stages of a deal. And at the same time, you can add your value onto those deals as well. So eventually, when if you've got a pipeline of 20 quotes that you've got out there that's been sent, you can have a little value at the top of how much all those quotes come to. So you've got an idea of future sales targets, how much deals you're bringing in, how much they're worth to the company as well. Yeah, so that's kind of what we use. Yeah, I used Pipedrive before we went to HubSpot. We used it for 2 years. So and HubSpot has a similar thing. It has a sales pipeline built into it as well on the sales tools. And it automatically sends people from one stage to another as I have my meetings with them. They get moved along that. It's called a life cycle stage, I think. So they go from being a lead into a marketing qualified lead into being a sales qualified lead and then a sales opportunity. So we map this out in there. In fact, I'll share in the next one, we have these 4 stages, as I say, very, very much this is how our DME sales process works. The identify stage, as I say, is using the good fit matrix. We do about 15-20 minutes research on leads that fit that good fit criteria we had. We then have either outreach, so I can do emails. I do a lot of video emails now. I use a piece of software called Vidyard. So if you go to vidyard.com, you can download it for free, and it'll allow you to embed a live video of you actually on someone's website or on the LinkedIn profile talking to them. And the amount of engagement I get just from sending a live video chatting to people. Usually it's on their website because I've spotted 2 or 3 things I can help them with. So I'll just go through their website and say, you might want to look at this. There's a couple of other things I can share with you if we have a 15-minute call. But I think that using video in that sales process at that connect stage has been really effective for us. If they're a target lead, because we have different qualities of lead, we'll have an inbound lead coming through the website, as I've talked about, but we also have other companies we want to get connections with and target. So I'll often reach out to them that way. And it's been really effective using video in an email rather than long emails that no one ever reads. Plus Vidyard will tell you who's watching them as well. So it'll say so-and-so's watched 30% or 40% of your video. So gives you data back. So that's good. Good to hear you've got a process though, Tom, because it's really is at every stage you should have a figure that you know what's happening. And that means you can optimize it. That means you can think to yourself, right, how do I improve our connect to explore conversion rate? I'm doing 10 connect calls
every week, I want to improve that conversion to exploratory calls. And that'll usually back to identify and being even stricter with your identification. So there's always a reason to have this. For me, it's measuring those different steps, because these eventually turn into meetings. So, and at the end, we've actually added a fifth step in now, which is it's called a goal setting and planning call. So after we've had the exploratory and we've sort of identified the areas that we can help, the problems we can really help people solve, then we will deliberately have a half-hour planning and goal setting call before we do the advice. So just make sure we're all aligned, because we could go away thinking, yeah, this is what they need, and they could have gone away thinking this is what we need. So we have that half hour. And it was something, again, HubSpot, when they looked at our process, it was our account manager said, oh, just add in that half-hour meeting, see if it improves your conversion rate at the end. And it did. It had about a 30% increase on people actually using us. Because again, I think it just aligned us all around, this is what we're trying to achieve then, this is a goal we want to achieve in the first 12 months. And we always aligned around revenue then as well. So this is what the revenue we're trying to generate is, and this is our cost. So the budget thing wasn't left till the advice stage. It was always addressed earlier on. And I think the theory was, again, is it takes you 2 or 3 hours to develop a good presentation. So why not do that work for half an hour there? And if there's them saying, oh my God, I didn't realize it was going to cost that much at that stage, then, as I say, you can address that there before you get in front of the board and have that awkward silence when you present your price. So yeah, so again, constantly develop your sales process, but I think everyone should have at least 2 or 3 steps in it so they can measure and improve it. Right, so phase 1 is all about identifying those good fit people. I'll just recap each of the steps so you can sort of apply it to your own businesses, because all of this all need really fitting to your business specifically. We've discussed ideal customer profile. So what's the sector? What are the type of businesses we can help? Let's get some 3 or 4 criteria in place for saying this is the business we help the best. And again, your existing customer base, again, digging into that customer database of people who've already used you will start to give you that pretty accurately. You think, oh, hang on, we work really well with manufacturing companies, or we work really well with education, or we work really well in the tech sector, you know. So again, get specific on your sector, and then start thinking, right, what within that sector is there a subsector even? You know, we found in the tech sector, we found cybersecurity companies were a really good fit for what we did as well. So actually that was still within tech, but it was actually cybersecurity now has become an ideal customer profile for us. And again, it was those smaller ones up to about 20 employees that we could really help grow. You know, the huge ones, obviously there were areas we spotted for them, but actually the big growth potential was in the smaller companies in the tech sector and in cybersecurity. And then buyer personas and good fit matrix. So identifying first, but then using content to discover if they're active or passive. So that key thing is, what are they engaging with on our website? What videos, what content are they downloading, and are they engaging with? Because that should tell you whether they're just a tire kicker that's going to be 6 months down the line, or they're really actively going through a buying process at the moment. So again, Tom, some of your content has to be around the different services that you provide and different things, and see who's, oh, well, these people are looking at heating, these people are looking at these different areas on our website. You know, they clearly have an interest in there. So again, use that as a way. It's not going to be 100% every time, but I've always found that it gives me real context when I speak to people about what they've been looking at. And I'll ask them a question. Oh, I saw you downloaded that. What was it you were looking to learn or looking for help with when you downloaded that guide? Did it help you? And just getting that conversation started, because something's triggered their interest in some of your content. And then having that systematic way to identify good people. I think, yeah, like Pipedrive, you know, we use HubSpot CRM, we use our website tools, we use social media tools, all of these things to do research in them before we actually pick the phone up to them, because it just allows you to have that really natural conversation with them, and it shows you've gone to the trouble of caring about them and doing and helping them, rather than just trying to push your services onto someone. So phase one, identify. We now get to the stage of connecting with them. So how do we outreach to people? So if they're not an inbound lead, they're a target lead that we desperately want to start coming up on their radar. How do we effectively connect with them? So they're active, researching solutions. Now's time to make our first contact. The way we do it is a 15-minute connect call. So it's, I think, phone calls or a Zoom call with someone is so human still. I wouldn't email them at that stage. I would actually go to the trouble of connecting with them and then saying, have you got a 15-minute call? And this is where my videos work really well. These are the things I want to chat to you about. I really think we've got areas we could help you grow. So again, we're trying to be human, we're being helpful, and we're being holistic. We're not trying to sell at all at this stage. Our goal is to show interest in them. And our 15-minute connect call, we don't talk about us at all. And that's one of the rules we have. We actually only talk about us in the last 15 minutes of that hour-long exploratory call, our second call. That's when we start talking about DME. The rest of it has all been structured to talk about them, their problems, their challenges, what they're looking to achieve, what their goals are, their revenue goals. If we can get specific about how much revenue they're looking to generate, again, that's a really healthy conversation. So again, your connect call is really important because it's that first chance you get to make a good impression with them. And the more you ask them questions and are really human and helpful to them, the more they remember you and the more they're happy to, at the end of that call, we always have a thing, we always have a closing line that says, you know, it sounds like we've got some really good areas to explore. When would you be free for a longer exploratory call where we dig into the different areas, and who else in your company needs to be involved in that call? So again, at the end of that, there's a very specific call to action that we're trying to progress them to that hour-long call. So again, an inbound lead will be quite different to a target lead because the target lead probably only first becomes aware when my email lands or I've been connecting with them and starting to talk to them on LinkedIn, and then I send them a little video about their website. So again, my approach there is very different to an inbound lead who I know has downloaded this and has engaged with some of our blog posts and I know more about them. You know, we always follow every inbound lead up. As soon as they've downloaded a PDF, we'll follow them up within 24 hours. It's just a rule in our company that no one ever downloads anything from our website and isn't followed up and given at least a 15-minute connect call to see that they got everything they needed and that we were being as helpful as we could be. Target leads, then you've got referrals, obviously referral lead. Again, I think salespeople are guilty of thinking referral leads are easy because someone's recommended them. Again, we still have a sales process we take referral leads through because we don't want to assume anything. We want to always be as professional with something that's been referred by a happy customer as we do someone who's come through the website. Hand raisers, people who've actually got in touch with you and said, can I have a demo, that we talked about earlier? You know, they're a slightly different process, but again, you want to go through each of the stages. They might go through it a bit quicker. Obviously, that first 15-minute call or the exploratory call maybe merge into one at that stage because they're asking for a demo. So you need to start digging in very quickly to their circumstances and identifying if they're a good fit or not. And then ghosted leads and close lost business. Again, we have a process built into HubSpot where where a contract we didn't win goes into a actual workflow. So they are then contacted after 6 weeks and after 3 months to see how they're getting on. And that's all automated. I don't really touch that, but we always make sure, because there's so many people that say, oh, sorry, we've gone with this company, Richard, and then they get let down by them. So for whatever reason, we didn't win the business, and it happens, you know, it's just part of business, isn't it? But again, we have the process of contacting them after 6 weeks, saying how things are going, and then after 3 months saying how things are going. And we still invite them to our events, still engage with them on that level as well. So each type of lead that comes into your business, you sort of need to identify where it's come from, what source it's coming from, and how your process needs to fit to that at the connect stage. Does that make sense? Yep. Good. Okay, that's fab. So then we get into more exploratory, and this is really where we're trying to understand their context. As I say, we're digging into that initial 15-minute call has probably uncovered the main reason that they were engaging with you in the first place. One of the goals I would always have of that first call is just identifying their growth goal. So we can explore that more in detail here. So our hour-long call that we have with everyone who progresses to that stage is aimed about what they're trying to achieve. So again, recapping on the goals. If we have talked about it in the first 15 minutes, I will then touch on it again, very deliberately trying to get specific figures out of it. I want them really to anchor themselves to a figure that they want to achieve in the next 12 months or the next 3 years, or however long our relationship I can see working. So again, we want to really get that as the main revenue that they want to achieve. What's the challenges that they see stopping them at the moment? So we talked about challenges earlier. Each of you has challenges to achieving your revenue goals. How are you going to overcome them? What are your plans that you have to overcome them? You might have other plans. You know, I'm not naive enough to think that we're the only people they're talking to. So I want to really dig into what are the other things you've got in place. Do you have an internal marketing team? How many salespeople do you have? How do you feed them leads? You know, what are the challenges they're facing? Because really what we're trying to do all the time is help them succeed, aren't we? I'm trying to help entrepreneur Eddie grow his business. That's my end goal. He doesn't really care whether it's marketing, whether it's sales that's improved, whether it's his content, whether it's the traffic through his website, whether it's developing a strategy. You know, all he wants to do is know that somebody is helping him grow his business. So discussing challenges always leads to the gaps. So what gaps do you have then? What gaps do you have, Eddie, in your business? You know, you've got one marketer. Do you think you need a couple of marketers to really support you getting to where you want to go? Do you need better sales training for your sales team? Is there a sales process in place? What gaps, what resources do you need? What training do you feel your team needs? Or it might be software. It might be a system that he's lacking. He's not using a CRM. He's still using a spreadsheet. And there's lots of gaps that we identify when we're talking about challenges that we'll make notes on that we can help them fill. And then plans. So what are your existing plans you've got, as I say, and what timescales are you looking to achieve your goals? And what are their quick wins? What are their low-hanging fruit, I call it to them, and what are your quick wins that you've already identified? And then we'll always try and help add 2 or 3 more quick wins onto that. So that's going to give us at the end of that call a really clear idea of 1, what he's trying to achieve, but also 2, how what we offer can really help him achieve that. So all of you should be able to go through a similar thing. And you see, the whole reason we do it like this is because it's so buyer-centric. It's so about them as a person, about them helping achieve their goals, not about us selling our product to them. And that's really, really key. So we're helping them make the right decision for them. And we've got to accept that sometimes the decision is they're not going to use us, you know, but often that is a good decision because they weren't probably a good fit somewhere along the line. There was something wrong. So you can also, as I said at the bottom here, you can focus on consequences, implications. So consequences of not taking action. So what will it mean if we don't take action on this? You know, how will things get worse effectively? So you're pushing that button, getting worse. And what are the implications? How will you feel when we hit that revenue goal? You know, what's your goal for the following 12 months then? So the implications are the positives. So what are the implications of getting this right? I will talk about budget. I know we said we'd talk about budget in the planning meeting, but I always touch on it in exploratory as well. And I will usually talk about it as a percentage of what they're trying to achieve. So if they're trying to achieve £500,000 of growth, I'll always say in there, and are you investing around 10 to 15% of that in marketing to achieve that growth? So again, we're talking about, they should be thinking 50, 60,000 for a year. Working on marketing and achieving that £500,000 growth, because that's what most businesses would expect and should be investing in marketing and lead generation to get that level of business. So again, I'll always talk in those terms relating to his revenue goal rather than me having to then drop a price on him later on that he's totally hasn't connected with. He thought it was going to be £500 a month, and our retainer working with them might be £3,000 a month. So depending on what level of work and what involvement and gaps we have to fill. So Does that make sense? It means we're really trying to address a lot of these concerns and these fears far earlier in the process here. And I've said here, try not to talk about yourselves or your solution until the final 10 minutes of this hour-long exploratory call. That's when you can sort of really tailor, because you've got all the information in front of you there as a salesperson, to tailor and personalize everything that you then recommend to him to his personal problems. He should be very comfortable with you. There should be a great relationship there. He should want to work with you. I think my goal at the end of all these calls is that they want to work with DME. Whether they can afford to or not is a secondary matter, you know, but I want them to leave that call. And certainly when we get to solution presentation, I want them to work with DME. They want to work with us and know we're the best fit for what they want and what they're trying to achieve. The only real factor should be, can they afford to or not? Are they willing to invest? So does that make sense why we have that exploratory call and to go into so much detail at that stage? Yeah. It really is just asking and understanding their situation all the time, keeping them at the heart of what we're doing rather than us trying to sell a service to them. And then we get to advise stage, which is where we're doing our hopefully it'll get back to face-to-face, won't it? But usually at the moment it's a Zoom presentation. But again, I'll prepare now. I should have all the information in front of me to prepare a highly personalized slide deck to present. These are your problems, these are your challenges, these are your goals. This is how we're going to help you achieve those goals. This is what it'll look like over the first year. I mean, we even come up with 3 different projections of what they'll achieve. So we have a very conservative projection of this is how many new leads will generate you over the next 12 months by following what we're presenting. This is how much revenue that should generate you. Then we have an expected, and then we have a best case scenario. So best case scenario, if everything works as we predict it'll work, this is what we'll achieve for you. So again, we're being very transparent at that page, at that stage. We're not sort of saying, oh, let us be busy as a digital agency for you and you won't know what you're getting. We're saying this is what we will produce for you after 12 months. This is where we'll be. And again, we want to exceed their expectations constantly at that stage. So in the presentation, we always do that recap. That's the first thing. Those first 2 meetings we've had with them and the following up now for us, that planning and goal setting call that we have with them. We'll recap all of that, make sure everybody's on the same page. Then we'll do the overcoming, and then we'll do the budgetary things, the timelines, how it all works, and then we will ask them to commit. We'll get them to commit at that meeting and follow up with agreements. And we might do a proposal after this. We don't tend to do proposals till after we've done this stage. We won't have a meeting with someone, and if they say send a proposal, we just don't do it. We'll send them more information. If they're not ready to have a meeting yet, we'll send them more information, but we'll always have laid the foundations and said, no, the next stage is this, just to make sure we're on the same page. And then we will do your full solutions presentation. If you're happy with what we present, then we will put it in writing as a proposal as well. Okay. And that was just another agency owner that said that to me. Guy in Manchester who runs a multi-million-pound agency said the one change they made to their process was to stop doing proposals after the second meeting. He says we now only ever do them after we've had a proper solution presentation, because he says you'll spend an hour, 2 hours on those proposals and then they'll just sit on someone's desk somewhere. So and it did just that one change in our sales process made a real difference, and saved us a lot of time, of course, doing it. So again, the advice stage, the key word there is personalized. That's why I've highlighted that. Make it very relevant to them. Don't just have a canned slide deck that you use for everyone. You know, try and make it as personal to them, get photographs of them, photographs of their business and things like that throughout it to really get them to connect with it. Okay, does anyone do solution presentations like that? I know some of your businesses are quite different, so you probably won't, but then other ones, certainly business development guys, you should be all doing this, moving through this process and then getting stood in front of people for a yes, no. Shaquille, do you use this sort of presentation approach? Lucy, you want to come off mute?
Yeah, I've
seen you're in a similar agency environment to what we are. Do you go through this process with clients?
So in relation to, we do, connect, explore, advise. We, dependent on the size of the business and what they need and their budgets, it would alter slightly.
Yeah.
So I would, I don't know what I'm trying to say. In terms of, so some, dependent on what their needs are, would then determine whether I would then do a proposal for them straight away or whether I would do a further presentation.
Yeah. So everybody doesn't get a presentation. It sort of depends on the size of the work you're going to do for them.
Yeah.
That's really good. Anyone else got anything to add to this? So Tom, you do this sort of process. Shaquille, you said you do. What about Matt? Can you come off mute, Matt?
I think we tend to be, it's interesting what you say about like the proposals and stuff, because it is knowing how much time we waste on proposals without actually then
going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it just sitting on someone's desk and I mean, we're definitely trying to become more like that, to make our proposals more like a sales presentation, but actually sitting in front of people is not something we often do.
And how long is your proposal? Is it like a 6-page or is it an actual 20-page thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite, I'd say it usually depends on how, I think these phases tend to be a little bit more blurred for us at the minute, which is something that we need to do. So it depends. If it's like, oh, we just need to know, like, this is what we're after, so what can you do for us, then the proposal maybe tends to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the sort of like asking some of the questions like that you said in the explore stage is probably what we're missing, which is when the proposals become longer.
Yeah.
And maybe there's parts of it that are less relevant and some that are more relevant. But I mean, I mean, it's really useful, and it highlights some things that we're doing probably fundamentally wrong to some extent.
Well, you're not, because as I say, as you're building a business, you build organically, and then you start looking at your systems and process. But start on your sales process, because that'll make such a difference. One, to your time as well. Because you'll only be talking to the right people, hopefully, once you get your marketing right. And then if you lead them through this process, you'll have that conversion at each stage, and it'll be really clear in your mind what you're trying to achieve from each stage as well. And I think when it's something as creative as you're doing for people, they need to really talk. You need to get them talking about what they see in their minds, because what they see in their mind and you see in yours could be totally different.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Matt. So I'm just conscious we've only got 10 minutes left, so I just want to keep going through this. So then account-based marketing. So everyone's in B2B here. So I think the majority are anyway in B2B. So account-based marketing approach is very much highly personalized, highly targeted, to a select group of high value companies or target accounts. This is how HubSpot's define it. So really deciding whether to adopt this approach or stick to an inbound marketing lead generation approach rather than this highly targeted sales approach is for you to decide about your business. So these are the factors that I would say you need to have in place to make ABM really a good fit for what you do. So it should be a fairly high cost product or service you offer. So when I say high cost, I'm usually thinking that there needs to be a finance department involved in the decision. So it's not just one person saying, yeah, that's fine, I'll get the budget sorted for that. It's quite a high cost. There needs to be a fairly long sales cycle. I think companies that suit ABM usually have a sales cycle of 6 to 18 months. So it's quite a long decision-making process. There's also a finite number of prospects, so it's a set sector, and you say there's different tiers of companies in that sector. I just want the tier 1 companies, the big fish in that sector. So there's probably going to be 15 or 20 of them out of the 200 companies that I've identified that I'm targeting. There's probably 20 of that 200 that I think, if we got a contract with one of those, that would be a great result. So at the moment, we're just nurturing relationships with them. We're constantly making sure we pop up on their radar. A lot of them have already contracts with other agencies, other people they're working with. So I'm waiting for someone to make a mistake, someone to start showing me, coming through the website and saying, yeah, he's from that company. Why is he researching this on our website? Why is he reading these blog posts? He's obviously unhappy with something. So again, for us, it's that really highly targeted. It's this 20 companies that we're trying to get in front of. And within those 20 companies, it's this 4 or 5 people that I really need to engage with regularly. Whether they're a customer or not isn't relevant at that stage. It's really getting that engagement going. So you're perfectly positioned when an opportunity comes up. And then I'd also say, if you regularly sit in front of a decision-making group, so 3 to 5 people are involved in that decision, it's not one person, again, ABM's a great fit for that sort of business, because you can then nurture relationships with each of those 4 or 5 people and make sure everyone's education has the same knowledge about what's going on. So it becomes a far easier process as well. And this is how I equate it in simple diagram form. Your inbound marketing and lead generation is really attracting as many people as we can, engaging with those people, converting them and delighting them. So converting them to customers and then delighting them as customers. So it's very much the old funnel mentality, bit more of a volume approach to attracting all those good fit people and engaging with them. Whereas ABM's totally different. It's identifying that top 20 companies, expanding then the people within those companies, engaging within each of those people, and then building a process where we're engaging with them constantly and find an advocate within that business, or a champion that's going to really start conversations around that process. So I just wanted to share that because it's something that's becoming more and more relevant for B2B, especially when people use LinkedIn in the right way. It's usually people with an ABM strategy that they're executing, and they're just engaging with people's posts. They're trying to connect with them. They're inviting them to events, things like that. And it's very much a highly targeted ABM approach that they're executing at that stage. And then also don't forget your customer marketing. Again, that's that conversation Shaquille had about his list is very much based around customer marketing, sales and service. Delighting those customers, and they're going to reward us time and again. So we must have a way we engage these people regularly. There's no point in them just being a customer and then they never hear from you. Are you off, Matt? Okay, you take care. We'll see you soon. So we've got 6 minutes left, and yeah, we're on track, so we'll be finished for then. So delight your customers and they'll reward you time and again. But it's true, because they're the ones that will buy more off us. They're the ones that will offer us referrals. They'll give us really good reviews, Trustpilot, Facebook reviews, Google, wherever your reviews are left for your business. These can be generated and actually asked for. We again have an email once someone's become a customer that goes out a week after, or 2 weeks after, that'll ask them to leave a review for us. Again, testimonials are a great thing too. We do a lot of video testimonials in our business, where whenever we run workshops or whenever we speak to clients, we'll actually ask them just to leave us a 5-minute video about their experience. We did it with a client just before Christmas, and she was just, she's just glowing. It was amazing. I just sat there with my camera just thinking I couldn't have written this for you. But she was just, it was amazing how she just said that we were like a breath of fresh air dealing with our agency, and it was actually something from that testimonial that we've now started to develop a video for the business saying, having a breath of fresh air is like what it's like working with us, because we don't overwhelm people. We keep things very, very specific. So again, a case study, we did the same thing with that client. Once she'd left the testimonial for me and gave me this video testimonial, I said, can we write a case study on working with you? And she was really happy to do that as well. And then surveys, survey your clients to make sure that you're constantly innovating and improving your offering and your service. You know, that if you can get your clients being honest with you, not just telling you about the good stuff, but also the bad stuff, and then you can constantly improve, you know, just really nurture that relationship where they'll be honest with you rather than just tell you what you want to hear. Incentive ideas, what to drive referrals, Tom? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so on the referrals, we in the past, we did a bit of a test run last year where we put together like a small attachment in an email with like a form. To basically say every time we've won a customer or we've done some work here and there, we always send it over an email. Just say that we'd love to have a referral from you for somebody else, should you know anybody. We also put something in our email signature as well. At the bottom, you know, we'd love to have a referral from you. But we've never really, in terms of referrals from customers direct, although we have had a few, we don't really tend to get a lot of them. I've always, in the sales meetings, I've always suggested to my manager that we should come up with some form of incentive for a customer. Because at the end of the day, if you're putting this in an email, customers kind of lose that in the trail of emails they get from everybody else and all that.
And I'd make it more personal than an email. I would actually send them something, and then maybe have an Amazon voucher in there as well or something like that. Just show them you appreciate their business, and then ask for the referrals there. You know, that's how I would do it, mate. Just give them something like a £25 Amazon voucher, or, you know, work out how much.
Or like a hamper or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, anything like that really shows you appreciate their business, I think. And that's where I think, you know, digital's great for all this, but I think there's sometimes an offline thing has a real impact. And I would save it for my really good customers who you know enjoy it, and you know they're well connected within a network of people. You know, care homes is a great example of that you talked about earlier. A lot of care home owners run multiple care homes, or they have it's like they're involved in an organization for care home owners, things like that. So nurture that relationship. And then I think your referrals, you don't have to, you know, I've never thought that if I offer someone £50 voucher, I'm going to get more than a £25 voucher. They should want to give you it anyway. It should be like a show of appreciation more than trying to bribe them to give us a referral.
I'm with you.
I don't want people thinking I'll come up with 3 referrals so I'll get 75 quid. I want them thinking these are really good people who would use your services. So as I say, but definitely incentives work, don't they? But I think more, if you frame it more as an appreciation of them being a customer, and then ask on the back of that, you'll get more success.
No, that's great. Thanks, Richard.
Okay. Right. So let's quickly move on and finish this off for you all so you can get on with your day. So technology is just really sales tech, just different ways we use our website, chat, email, content, insights to build relationships and nurture those relationships as we go through the process. So our sales tools that we would use would be CRM, you know, having a single source of truth where all the data on every contact, every business that we engage with is there for everybody to see and everyone to add and mature and add more data to. You know, having that CRM at the heart of our business certainly changed it when we started using HubSpot 3 years ago. It really did become where all the data had to go in there. So, you know, we're a bit sort of manic about it now, because if someone has a meeting and they haven't left the meeting notes in the CRM, or they haven't recorded the call and put a recording of the call in there, you know, someone else in the company will be onto them saying, oh, you had that meeting the other day, where's your notes from it? So again, we really do value that information. And it also, because it's connected to our website, it's really important that we then track their activity, each of our contacts' activity, and score them. Pipeline management. So as people progress, like Tom talked about with Pipedrive, we have the same sort of approach to our pipeline. We want to know how many people are at each stage of it, what's the value of the deals at each stage. So we'll put values in, we'll attribute revenue values to each deal that's in our pipeline and where it is and what the next step is to it. Tasks and activities are really important for increasing the efficiency of your sales processes. So again, we have automated tasks generated by HubSpot. So I'll have my task list to do each day, and there'll be a date when it's got to be completed by, and it'll be pulled in for that day. And I'll just be able to go through all my tasks and just really increase my efficiency rather than thinking, right, what have I got to do today? It's literally there in front of me in my list of tasks to do as far as the sales process goes. So it'll be call John from this company, make sure you send proposal out to this company, prepare this solution presentation for this company. You've got these Zoom calls coming up, things like that. So all of that can really help. Sales meeting software, again, if you look on my signature on my emails that go out, there's always a button that says plan a call with me, and that connects to my diary direct, so people can pick the time that's suitable for them rather than me having to sort of go backwards and forwards, again wasting lots of time, and everybody's time's wasted when we're trying to say, oh, does this work for you Tuesday at 4? Oh no, hang on, I can't do that. You know, I say just go into my calendar, pick a date that suits you, pick either a 15-minute or an hour-long call, and we'll talk then. So sales meeting software is great, should link to your calendars as well, link to your email, just make planning meetings really easy, and we're reducing that friction of doing business with us when we do that. Sales automation, so engaging and nurturing relationships with leads through email, all the different sources we've talked about. Knowledge base and resources, again, having some area that people can go to where all your library of documents is. We also use a lot of snippets in our work, so there'll be little sections of text that we can pull in automatically because we know we use this repeatedly. We use email templates a lot where we've got a set email response, but there's also certain times we just want a paragraph of text with a link in it that we're using regularly. So again, in HubSpot, you can set those up as snippets. You can use a little hashtag to pull the snippet into your document, and you can use it on the chatbot. You can use it on a document. You can use it on an email. Just pull it in really quickly. So again, it just increases your efficiency as a salesperson. Chatbot and live chat, setting that up properly on our website was a big game changer for us. A lot of our frequently asked questions are answered through our chatbot, and they're driven by the URL. So if someone's on our services page, the chatbot comes up and says, we see you looking at services and pricing. Is there any questions you have? And then it gives them options to, so it's very relevant to the page they're on. It's not just a generic chatbot that sits there doing nothing. And then when we've set it, whenever there's been 5 or 6 interactions with the chatbot, it always pings us an email through Slack saying that someone's on live chat. Can one of you go on and answer them? So again, very, very personal at that stage. We're not just letting automation do all of it. But it also delivers guides, it delivers links, it does all sorts of things for us that saves us time. Email sequences, obviously that's important for everybody, that you've got templates, you've got sequences that automatically go out, and tracking and notifications that comes back to you that says people are opening and engaging with these emails as well. And then, of course, the analytics and reporting, all of that revenue attribution we've talked about, that you can actually generate these reports back to yourself saying, this is the activity that we have in our sales process at the moment, and this is what's working. So use technology for that. It saves time, but it also makes you far more efficient. So that's everything from me. Has anyone got any more questions? Just 11:05. Let me just share the masterclass I talked about earlier. I have got it on this slide. I'll send this link out as well. It's a bit.ly link, and it's called Leads and Revenue 2021. If you put that into your browsers, it'll take you to a landing page. You can just sign up for this free 6-video masterclass. And in that, I go through strategy, creation of your strategy. I go through inbound marketing and lead generation. There's more about sales in there as well. And then I go through systems in detail of developing a proper CRM and business growth system at the heart of your business. So it's totally free. So any of you want to do that, just feel free to go in there and get more information there. Any more questions from anyone?